Salve discipuli. This is going to be a super fast overview of verbs, everything that you have learned in stages 1 through 15. Don't worry if it doesn't all sink in, but have your notebook out, write down questions, be ready to share them on the Google Doc, and hopefully get them all answered tomorrow. So I'm going to start here looking at a chart, and this is a very typical chart that I use in class. Right here we have the regular ending, so present tense. First person singular, second person singular, third person singular. Over here we have the plurals. First person plural, second person plural, third person plural. So the endings are OST, mus, tis, nt. Translations, just for example, and I just randomly picked the verb to give. I give, you give, he, she, it gives, we give, you all give, they give. There's also the imperfect tense. Bom, bas, bat, bamus, batis, bant. Thankfully, for most of them, all except the first person singular, we still have our st, mus, tis, nt, just like over in the present tense. The way that the imperfect tense is translated is with a was plus the ing form of the verb. So I was giving, you were giving, he, she, it was giving, we were giving, you all were giving, they were giving. Then there's the perfect tense. This is taken from the third principal part of the verb. So that's how you would figure out its base. The endings are isti, it, imus, istis, erunt. And you would translate it as I gave, you gave, he, she, it gave, we gave, you all gave, they gave. The difference between the imperfect and the pluperfect is the imperfect happened over an extended period of time, as in I used to run, or I used to give money to a certain organization, whereas the perfect tense happens in a moment of time. So I gave you $5 last night. No, I didn't give you $5 every single night, just once last night. And then we have the pluperfect tense. It also uses the third principal part as its base, from the perfect tense, but the endings are actually eram, eras, erat, eramus, eratus, erant. Again, all for except the first person singular, we have our regular personal endings. So st, mus, tis, nt. And this would be translated with a had. So I had given, you had given, he, she, it had given, we had given, you all had given, and they had given. We also learned the infinitive back in stage 13, and it looks a little bit different according to the different conjugations. So for the first conjugation, we have ara, era. In the second conjugation, third is era. Same with the third io, and the fourth conjugation is era. Now, to make the imperatives, and the infinitives are translated as to, so to carry, to teach, to drag, to take, and to hear. For the imperatives, all you do is drop the re, and you have the singular imperative. So this is if you're commanding one person to do something. So porta, carry, doke, teach, trahe, drag, kappa, take, audi, listen. If you want to command more than one person to do something, you put a te on the end of the singular. So this would be commanding multiple people to carry. So you all carry, you all teach, you all drag, and so on and so forth. And then we have the participles. Participles are pretty complicated, and they are relatively new. I will get into a lot more detail regarding them in person in class. But for now, just know that you translated it as, it functions like an adjective. So portans would be carrying, and it would be referring back to someone or something who is carrying something else. And then it switches into with an nt, followed by the es, which is your third declension endings for the plural. So this would be referring to one person who is carrying something. This is referring to more than one person who is carrying something, and so on and so forth. And now I am going to show you a little presentation about the uses of verbs. So that's all about the different endings. So verb uses. Verbs can be transitive, they can be intransitive, they can be linking, or you can have the verb as the subject. And the last thing we'll talk about are complementary infinitives. So first, the transitive verb. They are always active verbs, and they have a direct object. Those are the two rules that you have to have. Some examples in English are, I cook food, I like pizza, and I thought I had another one. Oh, yep, Jim throws the ball. Okay, so each of these are action verbs that each have a direct object or something receiving the action of the verb. In the first case, it's the food receiving the action. In the second, it's the pizza. In this third, it's the ball. And, oh, I have a fourth example. So mom helps her son. Helps is the action verb, son is the direct object. All right, so some intransitive examples in Latin. Grumio canam parat. Canam is your direct object. We know that it's the direct object because it's in the accusative. Parat is your verb. Argentarius pecuniam tenet. Pecuniam is accusative. It's the direct object. It's what the banker is holding. Caecilius quintum vituperat. Quintum is accusative. It's the direct object. It's who is being cursed. Melissa et grumio canem vituperabant. Canem is in the accusative here. The dog is being cursed. All right, intransitive. So intransitive, they can be an action verb, but there's no direct object. So some examples in English: I am in the kitchen. There's nothing receiving the action. The boy cooks. We don't know what the boy is cooking, but here this verb is being used as an intransitive. Mr. Hooper exercises. He just exercises. We don't have anything receiving the action. All right, some examples in Latin of intransitive verbs. Grumio in culina coquit. All right, grumio is cooking in the kitchen. We don't know what he's cooking, but here the verb is intransitive. Canis latrat, the dog barks. There's nothing receiving the action, so it is intransitive. Melissa dormant, she sleeps. You don't sleep something, you just sleep. Caecilius et Metella cantat. Caecilius and Metella are singing or sing, nothing receiving the action. And then we have linking verbs. So linking verbs will be some form of sum esse fui, so the verb to be. Think of it as an equals sign. Usually the subject is on the right and the subject complement is on the left. So the student is smart. Student and smart are the same thing. The dog is fast. Dog and fast are the same thing. Mark and Jane are happy, and so on and so forth. All right, some Latin examples. Grumio est laetus. Grumio is in the nominative, therefore laetus is in the nominative. So laetus here is a subject complement. Mater et pater sunt errati. Ooh, that's a typo. Et should not be underlined. That means and. Sunt should actually be underlined here. That's the our linking verb. So mother and father are angry. Tu es calida, you are smart. So tu is in the nominative, calida is in the nominative. All right, verb is the subject. It's usually in the infinitive, and some English examples are: to run is fun. It is necessary to study. To find the verb is very helpful. So each of these, the infinitive is the subject: to run, to study, or to find. All right, in Latin, so dicere est necessa. Dicere is the infinitive. To study is necessary, is how that sentence reads. Carrera est bonum. To run is good. Complementary infinitive. This is the last use of the verb that we will go over today. So it's an infinitive that completes the main verb. Some English examples are: I like to eat. Like is the main verb. To eat is completing the idea. We want to play. To play is the infinitive. It's completing the idea of want. They are able to run. To run is the infinitive, and it's completing the idea of able. All right, in Latin, inculina manera volo. I want to stay in the kitchen. Manera is your complementary infinitive. It's completing the idea of volo. Epistulam scribere non possum. I am not able to write the letter. To write is the complementary infinitive. Grumio canam non voluit. Grumio does not want dinner. Oh, ignore that. That's wrong. Okay, thank you for listening. Be sure to write down your questions, and we will talk tomorrow.